Liliesleaf farm in Rivonia, Johannesburg possesses a rich and very important part of South Africa's history. It is in this farm that ANC's military wing Umkhonto weSizwe's leaders such as Walter Sisulu, Nelson Mandela and many others were captured and trialed in the famous Rivonia trial that led the world to open its eyes to the atrocities of apartheid in South Africa. The historical site was established in 2002, and with over 60% of the original structures in place, Liliesleaf stands as it was on July 11 in 1963, and every room has a story to tell.
There's a lot of misconception first. Liliesleaf was purchased by the Communist Party in August of 1961, and it was purchased as primarily a meeting place for the Politburo and the Secretariat. However, the purchase actually coincided with the ANC's decision to move to armed struggle. And effectively, as Ahmed Kathadra describes, through a process of osmosis, Liliesleaf became the headquarters of the newly formed Umkhonto weSizwe, and its first commander-in-chief being Nelson Mandela. And in fact, in 2002, the ANC declared that Liliesleaf was the birthplace of MK. So they saw that Liliesleaf was where MK was formed, where the seeds were sown for its development, its growth. And it was actually here at Liliesleaf that they engaged in discussion around Operation Mayabuan, which was the military plan that they were developing, or certain elements of were developing for the overthrow of the apartheid government.
There are quite a few details that they are uncertain of, but would like the public to know about them, and this project has been dubbed 007.
Liliesleaf has an array of wonderful stories. Another story which we're creating for the public is this theme called 007. Now everyone will know what 007 is. And it's because of the intrigue surrounding the involvement of what we think was the CIA. There is a lovely story told by a woman by the name of Mary Russell, and the story is recalled by her great nephew. And they used to holiday on the caravan site that overlooked the farm. So if you drove down Rickfontein Road in those days, that was the boundary of the farm. And on the left was Liliesleaf, and on the right was the caravan site. Now, apparently she was an avid bird watcher, and she used to look through her binoculars, and of course one day she saw two men arrive, and apparently it was on a regular basis. They would climb up a telephone pole. But what she thought was very unusual was when she was looking through the binoculars, looking at them, she saw them with a pair of binoculars looking towards Liliesleaf. At the time it didn't mean anything, but subsequent to the raid, the question was, who were these two people? Now, if we were to go into the whole raid itself and certain comments that were made, clearly those people were not South African, either intelligence or police, because Dennis Goldberg recalls on the day of the raid that when he was taken back into the lounge shortly after he was arrested or caught trying to go to the toilet to flush down documents. And that's another wonderful story, because one assumes that it was only a Hollywood myth when you see the police and you charge to the toilet, it was Hollywood. But in fact, he dispelled that myth and said to me in an interview that he was rushing to the toilet, and I said, why? And he said to flush down the documents, which before he got to the toilet, he was caught. Now, he recalls the police saying, we've stumbled across the leadership. Now, if the place was under surveillance by the police, they would not have used the word stumbled. They would have known who was here at the time. They only actually came here, they were actually, and we think, tipped off by the CIA, but we cannot prove it. The point being is that the police were here to arrest only Walter. The day of the raid was to arrest Walter because they had been informed or tipped off that Walter was here on the farm. So that and the word stumbled illustrates to us that whatever surveillance was taking place here, that was taking place, we don't believe was the surveillance of either the South African security forces or the police. We believe it to be a foreign intelligence agency. So that's why we've created this component called 007, because it creates a lovely story about who was it. We got no factual proof of one way or the other, so it leaves people open to question. Was it the South Africans? Was it the CIA? Was it the British intelligence? Who were they?
The history of Liliesleaf is mostly known for its political stories, but there is more to Liliesleaf than politics. There are humorous stories, amongst others, about the life as it was before the raid.
There were various multi-level sort of activity that happened on the farm. So one cannot single out one specific activity or event which was unique, because a lot of things were happening simultaneously. In fact, as I've already pointed out, it was a going concern. They actually had a vegetable patch and they had farm labourers. And in fact, one of the interesting things that transpired during the trial was Percy Utah, who was the prosecutor at the Rivonia trial, was outraged when he found out that the local police station was the purchaser of carrots from the farm. Because this was a 28-acre farm at the time, and one of the reasons why it was purchased, it was because it was in a secluded area. But what makes Liliesleaf so interesting as well is that you've got these multifaceted, these multi-layered stories, which are, some of them are political, some of them are humanistic, and some of them are actually very funny.